how did you meet him? How long had you been together before he popped the question? Are you gonna do a fiance reveal? When are you planning on moving in together? Are you gonna wait until graduation to get married? Do you have your dress picked out yet? Are you changing your last name? I got engaged a couple months ago, and today I'm going to be answering a bunch of your questions about getting engaged, our relationship, the wedding. Probably the number one question that I got was, how did you meet him? Everybody is so curious to know. And believe it or not, you guys, we actually met on a dating app. I know, crazy. I mean, I guess that is kind of common nowadays for people to meet on dating apps, but I just never imagined that I would meet my future husband on a dating app. But here we are. And then I also got a question asking, does he go to the same university as you? Basically, like, did we meet in college? No, we did not meet in college, and he also didn't go to UVA. That's where I currently go to school. He went to a different school. He's already graduated now, and we met on the dating app after he had already graduated, but he was living a few hours away from me. And then I also got asked a bunch, when did you guys meet? So we met after he had graduated. I was in my third year of college, I think. Yeah, I was in my third year of college. It was shortly before I turned 21. I'm now in my fifth year of college. It's my last year of college. I'm very excited to be done. How did you know you wanted to be with him? Was it natural or growing? So I actually have a couple different answers to this. The first thing is, since we matched on a dating app, he immediately stood out from the other guys because he was actually genuinely wanting to get to know me. For example, the very first thing he asked when we first matched and he reached out was he started asking about me being a nursing student, since that was on my profile. And then I also had a picture of my stack of journals on my profile, and he asked about that. And that is like the best way to get me talking. Since we lived a couple hours apart, a lot of our first interactions were texting and FaceTime dates, just getting to know each other over the phone. Quickly though, we realized, ooh, I really like you. As we were talking and texting and FaceTiming, it just was so clear that there was something special here. He impressed me so much. And I actually have a list that I had made after my last relationship, and I titled it my MDM list, my dream man. And I had just listed out all of the qualities that I wanted in a future partner. It literally, guys, it is so long. It was very detailed. The very first thing on my must-have was loves God. And as I got to know my fiance when we were first talking, he just very quickly started checking off all of those boxes. Before we even met in person, I was like, all of the things he's able to meet as of right now in this timeline of getting to know him, he's just checking them all off. And I was like, oh my gosh. We had been texting probably for like about a week before we had our first FaceTime call. And after we talked on FaceTime, we talked for several hours. We had stayed up really late, and then afterwards he described the call as refreshing, and that was just the most perfect way to describe it because we both were just like, wow, this is something different. And then how did I know he was the one? Well, so I always say that I knew from the very start. I mean, I didn't know for sure, but the Lord made it abundantly clear to me that he was who I was meant to be with. I will share more about this probably after we get married, because some of the things I'm saving for wedding vows, but he is just so remarkably different than anybody I've ever met. And that's actually how he described it one time. We were going on a double date with his parents, and he was like, guys, this relationship is remarkably different than anything I've ever experienced. And I was just like, oh yes, it is. Our first date was like, there was a lot of build up to it. We had been talking quite a bit over the phone. By that point, we were like, I really like you. We have an amazing connection over the phone, so we were like, I can't imagine how it's gonna be in person. We were just so eager to meet each other finally, and he came all the way to UVA, and we met for dinner, and it was just the most amazing thing ever. I literally filmed a little get ready with me before our first date that I didn't post or anything. I just had it for myself for the memories. And I said, I was like, he is a really special guy. And I had even said in the video, like, ooh, what if we get married one day? What if I show this at our wedding? And then I was like, just kidding. But also I remember saying that, being like, I feel like he could maybe be the one. But I didn't want to get too excited. You know, I wanted to make sure I was keeping a level head, even though I had this really incredible, amazing guy that I was just like, oh, so smitten for. Who said I love you first? He said I love you first. How long had you been together before he popped the question? We were together officially for a year and a half before he proposed. Did you guys plan to get married so young? Also, congratulations. Thank you. Well, so yes and no. I'm 22 and a half, if that matters, if you care about the half. He actually is about to turn 27, so he's a little bit older than me. He's about 4.5 years older than me. So 27 is still young, but That's definitely not like really young when you think about ages of getting married. I feel like 27 is pretty average for marriage. 22 is definitely on the younger side, but I personally don't think it's anything crazy. I've also always wanted to get married younger and be a younger mom. We both feel super ready. If I had graduated college in just 4 years, like on time, I would already be working full time. And even right now, I'm working 2 jobs on top of school. But when it comes to relationships, we both feel super prepared. The Lord has made it really clear to us that we're meant to be together. Did you have an idea that he was going to propose, or was it a complete surprise? So I talked about this more in my engagement video. It was not a surprise in the sense that I knew he was going to be proposing soon. We had talked about getting engaged. I knew he had a ring. And also I was just like, there's no way he'll be able to surprise me since he currently lives in another state and we have to take a plane to see each other. So I was like, since I know it's coming, I know that when he is proposing, it's going to be in like one of the little trips that we see when we visit each other. So I was like, I'm always going to be anticipating it in those little times that we see each other. So I was like, I'm probably gonna know when it is. But he was so intentional about doing everything he could to make it a surprise. So when he actually did propose, I was so thrown off. If you want to hear the details, it's in my engagement video. But yeah, so it was not a surprise because I knew it was coming, but it was a surprise because I didn't think it was gonna happen when it did, which I just think was so sweet because he knew that I thought it was not gonna be a surprise. So he really did everything he could to throw me off and make it a surprise. What's your favorite part about the ring? First of all, I love my ring, you guys. I am obsessed with it. It's from Do Amore. I also talk about it more in the engagement video if you want to check it out and like see all of the details. They seriously are just such an incredible company in so many different ways. So if you ever need to get a ring, please get it from them because I could not rave about them enough. But then my favorite part about the ring itself is the engraving that's on the inside. My fiance surprised me with what he engraved on it, and he wrote "My Sweetness" on it because sweetness is what he calls me. It's just my all-time favorite thing about the ring. I mean, the whole ring is my favorite because it's so beautiful. It's just stunning. It's exactly what I wanted. It is so pretty, but the engraving is definitely probably my favorite part. Also, if you want to see all the close-ups and details of the ring, then again, check out my engagement video because I talk about it all there. Have you and your Pookie's relationship changed at all since the engagement? I think it's so funny that you guys still call him my Pookie. If you know where that's from, you're a real one. I wouldn't say it's changed per se because again, before we got engaged, we knew that it was something that we were wanting to do, but something about making it official, like we've done it, we're engaged, we're getting married, it's just kind of heightened to the excitement of our future together. Now that it's more imminent because it's like, it's here, this season and stage of our life is here among us, approaching, it's just all the more exciting. When we used to talk about it, it was like talking about it as a future thing, and now it's here, and so it's just a lot of really sweet love that we feel. It just feels like the blessing that it is all the more emphasized. What are your favorite things about him? Guys, I could talk about him forever. He is the kindest, sweetest, most driven person that I know. The biggest thing is that he is a man of God. He is such an incredible man, and seeing just how he is as a person inspires me to be a better person. He also treats me with so much love and kindness and is so intentional with the way that he loves me. He truly is my best friend. I feel like I could do everything with him. We can have serious conversations so well. The way he communicates is just wonderful, but then we also can have the silliest conversations, and I don't laugh with anybody nearly as hard as I laugh with him. I always tell him like I could just sit and do absolutely nothing with him and have the best time. You know, the first time I ever wrote about him it was like a week and a half after we first started talking, and I kid you not, I wrote 14 pages about him because I was just so impressed with who he was as a person. He is such a comforting, safe presence. He's so passionate and pours himself into whatever he does, and then he also wants that for me as well, where whatever I'm passionate in, he encourages me in that. He's always wanting to improve himself. He's so self-aware and tends to my heart in the most wonderful ways. And obviously, yes, I'm biased since I am engaged to him, but I genuinely do think I struck gold every single day. I just feel so blessed. I praise the Lord for the gift that he is and the love that we get to share. It actually blows my mind. You love journaling. What does your fiance love to do? He loves fitness. He is the most fit dude that I know. Working out is his favorite thing to do ever. He sometimes works out multiple times a day and is just so energetic. He's kind of like a golden retriever when it comes to working out. You know, the energy is there, but he's also so driven and has so much discipline when it comes to honestly anything, but working out especially. I'm just like, wow. His workouts are intense, you guys. Whenever I work out with him, I am Whew. Is your fiance religious? Yes, he is. I always say that he kind of was a vessel for me in my faith journey. I had already been pursuing Christianity for a couple years at that point, but it was like he came at the exact right time. I really do think he truly is a gift from God. To see all of my prayers just throughout my lifetime as a little girl and in more recent years, seeing all of those prayers be fulfilled through him was something that was so incredible to see and witness. What's your most memorable date you've had together? I love that question. Definitely our first date was, of course, super memorable just because, like I had said, we had been talking for some time before we had our first date in person. So that one was obviously really memorable. Also, I don't think I've said this yet, but that was really crazy when we first met in person just because he is way taller than me and I never thought I'd end up with a super tall guy, and he didn't have his height listed on his profile or anything. And we had talked about it at one point after talking for a couple weeks. I was like, by the way, how tall are you? And I was like, whoa, he is 14 inches taller than me. So when we met in person, I was wearing 4-inch heels and he was still almost a foot taller than me. And that was just crazy to meet him in person. And I was just like, oh, hey. But it was just really sweet to get to meet him because our excitement and nerves were just like through the roof. Another one of our memorable dates, about a year ago, I think almost a year ago exactly, we went to a restaurant. It was actually, oh my gosh, wait, it was in one of my vlogs. In one of my vlogs, he was kind of like in the vlog a little bit. At that dinner that we went to, he had told me that he wanted to marry me, and we had talked about, you know, the idea of getting married before. He had said that he could see us getting engaged in the next year, and sure enough, that happened. That was just really sweet because I remember he told me that and I was just like, what? Really? And yeah, he took a picture of me at that dinner and he still says that that's his favorite picture of me. Okay, and then I got a ton of questions asking about, are you ever gonna share his name? Can you show his face? Are you gonna do a fiance reveal? And then someone asked, will you have your Pookie, oops, fiance in your videos? So, okay, as much as I really want to share everything with you guys because he just is seriously so wonderful, I also, I don't know guys, I had wanted to keep our relationship more private. Even before I met him, I had decided that I wanted to keep my next relationship more offline. And then obviously I've talked about it a ton with him too. And he has been in videos and on vlogs and stuff, just a few, but I obviously haven't shared his name or his face. As of right now, that's how we plan to keep it. Maybe in the future it'll change, I don't know, but that's kind of what we're vibing with right now. There are definitely moments where I'm just like, oh, I just want to share him with you guys because I want to show him off to the world. Also, like when we're living together, he's obviously gonna be living with me and I'm gonna be filming, and I'm sure he'll be in the background of things. You'll probably hear his voice. Even in the engagement pictures that we shared, we intentionally took some without his face so that we could still share with you guys but still keep that privacy of our relationship. So I don't know. I know you guys really want to see him, and I totally get that because I know, being a viewer myself for other people's channels, I would so want to see and know him. But yeah, for now we are going to keep it more private. When are you planning on moving in together? I've said in another Q&A that I'm planning on moving after graduating, and now you guys know that that is so that I can move in with him. I don't have an exact day set on when I'm moving there, but it'll be pretty shortly after I graduate school. There's gonna be a lot going on after I graduate. I'm gonna have to take the NCLEX and study for the NCLEX, and then moving is just a big task. And then there's also just like a lot of other things happening around that time. So I'm not sure the exact time, day, whatever that I'm moving there, but that's kind of like a play by ear thing. Are you gonna wait until graduation to get married? No, we're not. We are gonna get married before I move in to be with him. I also got a ton of questions asking, when do you think the wedding will be? When is the wedding? What day is it? This is actually an interesting topic of discussion, you guys. We are planning on getting legally married first, doing like a little courthouse wedding before I move in with him so that we're married before we live together. But for a wedding, we aren't sure exactly when we're gonna have a wedding, just because it is so impossible to plan a wedding right now with how busy I am working 2 jobs on top of school and with how busy he is. And it's just like so hard to plan a wedding, especially thinking about me moving there, having to take the NCLEX, starting my new job as a nurse. There's just a lot up in the air right now. So we are not actively planning our wedding right now. It's kind of on hold. It would be a lot easier to plan something like that once we are living together. We can plan it together. We kind of have more of an idea of what our lives look like, where we're even gonna want to have the wedding. But yeah, it just feels like a lot to plan a wedding right now, and we both don't really have the time to plan a wedding right now. So we're getting legally married before I move in with him, and then we are having a wedding at an undetermined day. Do you have your dress picked out yet? No, I don't. So that's another thing that I am not sure about. Since we're getting legally married first, I'll probably just get something a little bit more chill because it's just gonna be a little courthouse wedding or something of that sort. So I'll get a white dress for sure, but I don't have it yet. And then whenever we have our wedding, I will get an actual, like, for real wedding dress. Will you film any of the process, like finding the wedding dress and stuff? Probably. Let me know what you're wanting to see. Also, if you have any tips or anything, or any, you know, dress recommendations, let me know. What's your journal entry gonna look like on your wedding day? I don't know what it's gonna look like, but I know it's gonna be full of joy. It is gonna be a very special journal entry. I actually probably will not journal that much on our actual day that we get married because I'm gonna want to just be with him, obviously. So it'll probably just be a quick, full of joy journal entry, and then at some point after getting married, I'll have to have more of an update. That's kind of like what I did with getting engaged. I have a very quick journal entry the day we got engaged, and then a couple weeks later is when I sat down and wrote about all of the details. Are you changing your last name? Yes, I am. I have always loved the idea of changing my name. That's just something that I personally have always wanted to do, so I will be changing my last name. And then I also got asked, will you change your YouTube channel name after getting married? Since my current channel name is Carrie Walker, it's what will be my maiden name, but I am going to be keeping my channel name. It doesn't make sense to change it since my brand is built off of Carrie Walker. It would honestly just add a lot of confusion, I feel like, to change it. Where is your dream honeymoon destination? Guys, I don't know. I've always kind of thought that I would be more of like a cozy cabin vibes for a honeymoon. My fiance and I have talked about it, but we really haven't decided on anything. If you guys have any honeymoon spots, recommendations, or anything like that, let us know because we're not sure yet. And then I also, of course, got questions about kids since, you know, as soon as you get engaged, everybody's wanting to know those kinds of things. Yes, we both very badly want kids. I have always said that I feel like my #1 reason to be on this earth is to be a mom. Obviously, there are a lot of things that I've felt called to do, but being a mom specifically is something that has always been a dream of mine. I very much want kids. He does too. We're very excited for the day that we have kids. We don't plan on having kids just yet though, because we do want to just soak up being married first, especially since we are long distance. It'll be nice to be done with distance and just enjoy time with just the two of us before we introduce kids to the picture. But when that day does come, it will be an exciting one. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!